What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal mastery. Okay, so we have a very significant subject for our today's topic, and this is something that I think a lot of you should know about and are going to want to know a lot more about because this has everything to do with the understanding of how you are pursuing your self development, especially when it comes to occultism and spirituality. So, I want to make sure that you are very well equipped to understand how you can go through this soul development process without all these confining restrictions and belief systems that people oftentimes can project on you that are not authentic to the true path. So, this is exactly what I'm going to be discussing. It's going to be in regards to closed practices. What are closed spiritual practices? What exactly is this? How should you perceive this? And does it make sense that someone else should be able to tell you, no, you can't practice this because you're not of this race or you're not of this culture? So that means this practice is closed off to you because you're not one of us. Okay. Or should you be pursuing spirituality from that lens of, oh, I can't do this. I can't practice this because I'm not from that culture. I'm not from that race. And that must be a closed practice. I need to be initiated into it. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be breaking down. I highly recommend that you stay tuned for this. This is going to give you a lot more perspective on how to navigate these types of things. So, with that being said, I will simply see you on the other side. Okay, so here we are. So, generally speaking, what is a closed practice? Okay, so a closed practice is going to be a practice that is closed off to other people to some degree. Now, what are the most common factors that makes a practice closed off? Are you from the culture? Are you from the race of us that are doing this type of practice? If you are not of our culture, if you are not of our race, then that means our practice is closed off to you. This is generally what a closed practice is going to be. So, if you want to be a part of our practice, then there has to be a certain degree of initiation that you get into the practice, that you get into the culture, and it's going to have to be from someone that's already in the practice, already in the culture. So, is this an authentic way to approach spiritual self development and the soul development process? The answer to that question is no. Is there such thing as closed practices? Yes, people operate in that type of way. Is that something that is overall valuable for for the collective, especially for people that are not of that closed practice, of that culture or of that race of being? No, it's not valuable because you're cutting people off from being able to experience a different form of self development through that specific practice or through that specific culture. So let me give you an example of what a closed practice could look like. I am Jewish, so I have a natural inclination towards the Kabbalistic tree of life. You are interested in Kabbalah because you have come across videos, maybe you've come across certain types of symbols in everyday life that is actually leading you to understanding and studying the Kabbalistic tree of life. You come across me, and I am someone who practices, and it also runs within my ancestorship. So I then tell you that you are not able to study or you are not able to practice Kabbalistic awareness or Kabbalistic study and, of course, initiation because you're not Jewish. So, because the Kabbalistic tree has a lot of origins that connect to Judaism, you're not able to practice it because you are not of our bloodline. So, if you want to start practicing, that means you need to connect with me. And I have to determine if I feel like I want to initiate you into this practice because it's not of your lineage. That is an example of what a closed off practice looks like. But in reality, this is not valuable and this is not a healthy way to approach spirituality or occultism, because the person that is interested into this culture, the person that is interested in the practices that they are interested in those different practices for a very intentional reason. Sometimes it can even be an unconscious reason, and that happens a lot of the times too. So there are certain types of people that resonate with certain types of modalities of practice. I have seen people that are from completely different countries resonating with practices from completely different countries. Okay, so they are very different than the origins of their actual ancestorship, but at a soul level, there may actually be more resonance with those certain practices. We're not considering potential past life experiences. Maybe in a past life, you've actually existed within that race or within that culture. And that's why you have an energetic resonance with that modality of practice. So, who am I to tell someone that they cannot practice what it is that I practice because in this lifetime, they are not of my ancestorship? When in reality, they may actually have had a past life in my ancestorship and they are resonant with it. And even if they didn't, who am I to tell you you can't resonate with what I do because it's my practice. This is my people's practice. This is a closed off practice. So you need to go through me to be able to practice and understand this. That is bullshit. Don't ever let someone fool you into thinking that you need an initiation into a closed practice in order to be able to practice it. There is no such things as these extraterrestrial beings and entities and energies that look at you and say, you can't practice this because you're not of that culture. This is a soul thing. This is a intuitive thing. This comes down to the understanding that we are all connected to the same source consciousness. So you are not different than me, and I am not different than you. Yes, we do have differences, but at the deepest core level, we are one in the same. We share that source consciousness. So if you resonate with a practice that is very different than your culture, very different than your ancestorship, then you're resonating with it for a soul reason, an intuitive reason. And maybe you're going to have more value studying within that culture than you would your own. Oftentimes, what I do find for most people is they do tend to resonate more with the culture that they currently are incarnate within in regards to, for example, you have a lot of those European roots, you might be very connected to, the Norse mythology or oftentimes even Kabbalah, you know? So it's like, it is hard to, it's hard to determine what you're going to resonate with. For example, a lot of the Indians, for example, they're resonant with the Vedas. They're resonant with Krishna, Shiva, etc. The Hinduism. Okay. You know, there's so many different ways to approach it. Okay. But at the end of the day, that doesn't determine exactly what it is that you're going to be in resonance with. And when it comes to closed practices, this is something that is more intuitive. This is something that you have to trust yourself and experiment with so that you can have an understanding of what works best for you. And there are many people that work with all different types of cultures and different practices within those cultures and are able to get huge amounts of value from the spiritual development side of things, working with all these different cultures. So, this is another thing that you want to understand. When it comes to spiritual evolution and occult initiation, within every single culture, with all these different practices and modalities that you're going to find, there are archetypal similarities between these different practices, meaning they all are connected. There's no separate practice from another practice. Yes, there are different archetypes that can manifest because of the differences in the culture. There are different modalities and techniques that you can utilize depending on the culture. There's a different energetic signature with that. But overall, there is a sameness. There is a similarness. There is a underneath current of energy that is the same within all of these different spiritual cultures and practices because we're all operating as human souls, learning what it means to evolve and connect more with that source consciousness. So, with that being said, you can resonate with one culture and resonate with another culture, and they both play very nicely off of each other because all practices are designed to lead to the same soul development process, just utilizing different ways. So, it's like a current within the ocean, and then there's little side currents, but overall, the current exists in the whole ocean. Okay. The current doesn't exist outside of the ocean. So we're all in the same ocean, just kind of riding different currents, getting to the same space, getting to the same awareness that, oh, we're all in the same ocean here. So it's not like I initiate myself through some Norse mythology and then I have to now initiate myself through a whole different modality of Hinduism to then start a whole new process of developing my soul. That's not necessarily how that works. What you will have learned from Norse mythology is going to actually translate in a different way over to what you would learn in Hinduism. And you would actually find more similarities and correspondences than you would differences. Yes, there's more education that you can gain and more refinement that you can have within the self by working with these different cultures because they are different and they have different ways of approaching the self development process from a philosophical lens and also a practical lens. But overall, the underneath initiation is the same between the two cultures, which means you could start with Norse mythology and then transition to a different culture of Hinduism. But the initiation under the surface of how your soul is evolving is remaining the same, or it's just continuing on the trajectory that it already was on. It's not like I have to initiate all the way through Norse and then my soul gets to a certain level and then I have to start from ground zero again and do it the same way with Hinduism. The soul is evolving. The soul is existing within the solar system, which is operating through all the different planets and the constellations and the extraterrestrial higher density intelligences that are also manifest in our solar system that are all designed to help us understand what it means to be authentic, what it means to heal from deep rooted traumas, what it means to change our energetic resonance to be more in touch with our higher self connection, which is the source awareness, and change the way we live our lives so we can be more free, so that we can be more connected, so that we can live out our purpose, the reason why we're here to help spread this consciousness or spread this information and this energetic resonance to the collective. So every single culture and every single tradition, the underneath foundation of them is to do this process. So it's not like starting over every culture you go to. You're not starting from ground zero again. You're just continuing your journey with different awareness and different education and getting different understandings from these different pieces of the same puzzle. So don't ever let someone tell you or convince you that you're not allowed to be a practitioner of a certain culture or practice because you're not of those people. If you really have a resonance to it, dive into it yourself. You don't need someone to initiate you in. Can it be helpful to have a support system? Can it be helpful to have a mentor? Yes, but don't have a narcissist that tells you you can't do things unless they approve of it. That is bullshit. When you're working in a healthy partnership with like a mentor from a mentor to a student or a teacher to a student dynamic, in a healthy dynamic, the person's looking out for your best interest from an authentic space and they're giving advice. They're not controlling you. They're not telling you, no, you can't do this. They will say, hey, based on my experience, I don't think that's the healthiest choice. I would recommend this, but I want you to listen to your intuition and do it the way that you feel like is best for you. Okay, not this is how it has to be done. If you don't follow these instructions or do it this exact way, then you're going to mess up and bad things are going to happen. And then you're going to get lost. And then, I don't want to work with you anymore. So you're on your own. That's not how that goes. Follow your intuition and trust your damn self. Okay. That's what I have to say about closed practices. Don't view this from the lens of separation. View this from the lens of connectedness. Understand that you have the free will and you have the power to study whatever the hell it is that you want to study and practice whatever the hell it is that you want to practice. A lot of the times, these extraterrestrial energies that are existing in our solar system that are responsible for generating these practices that we have on the physical plane, they are oftentimes similar. What does that mean? The entities you're working with in Hinduism are actually correspondent to the same entities you're working with in Norse mythology. Okay. And then the same goes for all these other different cultures and practices. Are they always the exact same? No. But how oftentimes are they similar? And are we actually connecting with similar forces? Very oftentimes, because it's our local solar system. We as human beings living on planet Earth have attracted the attention of certain intelligences and certain planetary star energies that are responsible for our development process. Just like in this lifetime, a child has parents that are responsible to take care of the child, the same way on a macrocosmic scale, there are energies and entities that are responsible to some extent to help us evolve as the human race because we're a little bit lower in our density of consciousness. And that's what it means to be human. And that's what it means to go through soul development on this planet specifically. So there is energetic support that is taking place in our solar system. And a lot of those energies are similar and they're manifesting through different cultures to speak to that culture specifically. So it's the same, oftentimes, it's similar energies that are coming through different cultures. Okay. So it's not, so when we look at the lens from a closed practice, that's basically someone saying, this is my culture and these are my energies and they're different than yours. So you have to go through me to connect with these energies. When in reality, these are it's oftentimes the same energies manifesting through all these different cultures in different ways. Okay. So that is something that you absolutely want to consider. So allow yourself to understand what it is that you are in resonance with and allow yourself to trust you to take those steps into the unknown and be able to practice what it is that you want to practice. Okay. And obviously, I am someone that stands very strong by Kabbalistic education and, of course, Kabbalistic initiation, because this is kind of like a universal system outside of just the Jewish tradition or the Jewish race, because this actually goes much deeper than just the Jews, back to the Egyptian times and before that into the Atlantean civilizations and before Atlantis, even. But with that being said, I tend to gravitate more towards Kabbalah because Kabbalah, in my belief, is the most refined system in our today's time. This may change as time goes on, but in our today's time, it seems to be the most refined system of understanding the initiation process of what the soul naturally goes through within our solar system. So connecting to the 22 major archetypes of tarot and how the psyche and the soul interacts with that, as well as the different spheres with the 7 different planets in our solar system. This is what I believe to be the most effective way to educate yourself to actually understand on what it means to work with these different energies and utilize them, as well as connect with the different intelligences that are governing these spheres, like the archangels or the archdemons of the Qlippothic realm. That's my perspective. This is what I use. Guess what? I also have Jewish ancestorship. So there is Ashkenazi Jew that runs through my bloodline that also puts me in resonance with Kabbalah. Then I have other ancestorship connections with past lives and, as I said, ancestorship, where there is ties to different degrees of occultism and utilizing these different utilizing the Kabbalistic tree. So in not mainstream, but in occultism as a whole, every single occult order uses the Kabbalistic tree as their system of initiation. And they are using that for a reason because it is the most refined system of spiritual self development that you can actually educate yourself on. Can you trigger the same amount of development and the same amount of understandings from different cultures? Absolutely. That's why I'm saying there are so many similarities between mythologies and archetypes from one culture to the next culture. And then when you come to Kabbalah, when you kind of dispel all of the Judaism aspects of how you have to kind of be in alignment with God and not sin, you get to see it from more of a authentic lens of, wow, this is kind of just like a roadmap to what it means to be a soul inside of our solar system. And how do we travel through the system to evolve our soul? Okay. That's what it is that I have to say. Quick message. I have a client call that is coming up pretty soon here. So I've got to make this quick, but this was the message. Definitely take this to the bank. Allow this to sink in. So I know there are people that absolutely need to hear this because it's important. Okay. So hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Drop down in the comment section and let me know how you received this. Let me know if this actually offered you value. Let me know if there is something that you got from this and share your own personal perspective on it. I would love to hear that. Hit the notification bell, get notified whenever I'm posting because I post every other day and you do not want to be missing out on what it is that I am posting. Subscribe to my YouTube channel because by subscribing, you are further energetically connecting to everything it is that I am doing. So go ahead and further connect so you can get more value from what I'm teaching. If there's someone that you know that needs to hear this message, I encourage you to copy and paste the link and send it to that person. Okay. Now I'm going to take you to literally the most important link within the entire description itself. This is my Patreon. Okay. Now on my Patreon, I have an entire vault of exclusive occult content, over 260 plus videos that are exclusive to the Patreon members that gives you everything you need to know in regards to your study, practice, and education. Take advantage of it. If you are gaining value from my public YouTube channel and you're not yet a part of the Patreon, get your ass over to the Patreon now. Okay. Now, with that also being said, tier 3 and 4 gives you access to a Universe B vampire ritual service, which is extremely exclusive to anything that I do. It is the only ritual that I actively perform on anyone, and I perform it for my collective consciousness to support you through the deeper aspects of your own shadow work, integration of repressed negative emotions at a nervous system level. It's an energetic transfer from me to you to support you through that process. It is not meant for everyone. If you're in alignment with this deeper integrative process and you're also receptive to some of these darker energies that operate through our own solar system, this is definitely the service that is for you. Okay, so consider taking advantage of it. There are over 900 active members that are part of the Patreon now. There is 350 members just about that take advantage of this ritual service every single month that it's performed. Okay, this ritual is performed on the 29th of every single month. The deadline to sign up is the day before the 28th. If you want to do some more education on everything that falls into play with this service, go into my YouTube playlist. I have an entire playlist that breaks all of this stuff down under the Vampire Ritual Service playlist. So check it out. Okay, we're going to leave it there. Second link is where you can book a one-on-one call or a mentorship, one of the most intimate ways to work with me. Definitely consider it. I have a full schedule right now of clients that I work with, and that is only going to increase as time goes on. So if you want to get in now for the price that it is, I would definitely consider getting into a mentorship with me because as time goes on, this is absolutely going to be increasing in price. Okay. And that is just me letting you know. Okay. Now, also in the same second link, you can book a tarot card reading with Alexia. She's a very gifted tarot card reader, so take advantage of it. Okay. Third link is the LUCIFERS Foundation course. This is going to give you everything you need to know to develop a healthy, grounded relationship with the energy that is known as Lucifer. Take advantage of it. Fourth link is the YouTube memberships. I would love to have you a part of the community because the community is like a family. So definitely look into that if it's something that you're interested in. It's the fourth link. Fifth link is a 4 ebook bundle that I highly recommend you purchase if you are looking for more education and looking for something to read to better understand this entire system of working with entities, angels, demons, and initiations. This is like one of the best tool books that you could actually have access to work with these deeper occult sciences. And it's going to break all of these things down in a very practical way. So go ahead and take advantage of it. That is the fifth link in that YouTube description. With that being said, this is going to wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night wherever you are. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.